The fact that what we saw in Go wasn't reality, wasn't a hallucination, wasn't a delusion, but rather was the story Satoko told the detective in order to enable his psychotic behavior so that he would go into the market, smash some heads in, shoot some bitches, was some trickery that only a witch could pull off. This was the Tricks of the Witch episode, and all bets are off, I think, at this point, because Rika is crushed. We know the speedrun of death that is going to occur next week, but to see how it all came together, I mean, I saw a lot of people being like, no, it makes no sense, there's no way that she could have done that because we saw the uncle, obviously what we heard of the story, right? What we saw in Go. But like with many, I was kind of on the fence of like some form of hallucination, something like that. Didn't even cross my mind that the detective promised to sit outside their home on the day of the festival, and one small scream from a little girl would then set in motion. And the idea that what we saw in Go was simply the story, which honestly, up until that story point, I was really curious because like they clearly showed it from both perspectives. So Go was either a lie and a complete misdirect, or it was just Keiichi not seeing things clearly because he had a bat to the head. And I was willing to buy into the bat to the head, but I was hoping for a bit more. So when they showed the story, that brought a grin to my face. And this is what I always say, like, Sotsu and Go are retelling the exact same story, but the perspectives make it completely fresh and exciting again. And when Rika said back in Go, and obviously it touched upon in this episode again, you know, how could this happen in a perfect fragment, a perfect loop, a perfect reality? How could that happen? It was pretty heartbreaking because that was the arc in Go that had people cheering and excited and, you know, worried that they wouldn't be able to save Satoko from the abusive household. So when it finally happened and seemingly was good and it got crushed, you know, that line really, it hit me. But to see it from this perspective now, I find it to hit me all the more because seeing what really was going down the entire time, there was never any hope. And the fact that they completely made me and many back in Go believe in the false hope that Satoko was laying out breadcrumbs. It's pretty much Satoko dropping breadcrumbs to the finish line, and you think that finish line is a door to paradise, but really, you're just falling into a molten volcano, right? That's all that's going to happen. Satoko in this episode, after seemingly getting rid of, you know, the Satoko that used to be there, who started to realize that maybe killing your friend wasn't the A-OK thing to do, to see how she acts now, it's explaining so much because this already gave us a glimpse in the type of mentality she has going on for her. And I think to see how little she now cares, and I mean really how little she cares now. This face right here, and the reaction of someone who usually is giddy, cute moe blob towards Satoko, to see the horror in her face as she realizes Satoko is behind that bloodshed. She doesn't even know about looping. This is just in-the-moment horror. It's pretty heartbreaking. And I think that's exactly what this episode is. It was evil and heartbreaking, and I wouldn't have it any other way. I mean, with seemingly 4 episodes left to go, unless they surprise us with more Higurashi episodes, I mean, seriously, it looks like next week will be the speed run of the loops, and then maybe the last 3 episodes being, you know, the final confrontation, but it'll be interesting to see what they want to pull off with it, because, I mean, there's still plenty of ways to make new fragments and realities and this and that, but as it stands, I mean, they've perfectly done a job of making the viewer, I find, feel hopeless, as if, realistically, you know they'll probably succeed, but with how much Satoko has broke down a character like herself and the others, it's hard not to feel like we're about to just watch chaos and reach the bad ending of a visual novel, right? And yeah, I mean, if they surprise us with another anime core sometime in the future, either next season or seasons after, that'll be cool. But it still does feel to me like I'm putting my money still on it being the end with episode 15, but time will tell. I think, yeah, I mean, I know people always, I mean, I remember this even before watching Higurashi, people joked about how much blood is on screen. And I think it's a mixture of 2 reasons why it is like that. One, just for the shock value, because, you know, you need to have something match the psychotic nature of a little girl acting like this. And 2, you never quite know how much is to be believed, I find, because you never quite know what is real and what's exaggerated, because looking at a girl laughing like that and acting like that, you never quite know. So for me, given that it's anime, I'm completely on board with the complete gore fest that is Higurashi. And honestly, seriously, I still have to wonder, what was it, 2-3 episodes back? It was actually probably a bit more. The fact that they'll censor the nail scene, but they'll leave, like, a child getting stomped in the shitter, or this episode where, like, people are getting a baseball bat to the head. Completely A-okay for television, but a nail being ripped off, that's the one step too far for these people making the decisions. It's still hilarious. Like, there was one moment that was censored that I caught, which was when the detective was about to bash in, or was bashing in, our girl Rika's head. There was a quick, like, very light black censoring, but you still got the gist of it. But I mean, I seriously, it's insane to see what Higurashi gets away with more often than not if some of these things are too far. But hey, cultural differences, I guess. I mean, seriously, I know, like, some people may not like the idea that what we saw in Go was actually just the story. Maybe they wanted hallucinations, more trickery with witch powers. For me, I just find it to be such a brilliant ploy, because there were people 100% convinced in my comment section last week that what we saw in last week's episode wasn't what was real because Go showed them otherwise. That's kind of the brilliance of Go and Sotsu, is that literally people are convinced one way or another, and when Higurashi reveals the true cards, I often find a majority are like, God damn, completely off what I thought. That's how I feel every single time, but that's pretty damn brilliant. Obviously, there's going to be some people who will say, no, I don't like it like that, I wish this happened, this or that. But I mean, that's kind of the brilliance of a story like Higurashi, is that the first telling of it, like in Go, you're confused, you're visibly upset, you think you have a picture, and then Sotsu comes in swinging like the detective in his baseball bat, and it's pretty bad. I mean, seriously, just to see Satoko, man, to see Satoko beat people with a baseball bat, just ring around the rosy, clocking over the head, and then just casually going into the shower to wash your filth off, and just seeing how twisted this witch is. I mean, it'll be interesting, that's for sure. It'll be interesting to see how Rika reacts, because what was episode 18, 17 of Go, give or take, when Rika, Satoko pulled the gun, not knowing that Rika can remember loops at that point. We're very close to that point, and we've been excited for that for some time, and I'm excited to see what the hell's gonna happen. Thoughts and feelings, especially on the idea of the story and how what we saw in Go wasn't actually what happened in Sotsu, and how it was kind of like overlapped. I thought it was brilliant, but let me know your feelings down below. Leave a like if you enjoy and subscribe if you're new around here. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.